Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, a WWE tag team has broken up off air.
The TNA plans for AJ Styles were changed.
Got a big update on Bryan Danielson's AEW status.
And The Undertaker shoots on Hulk Hogan.
What a silly sausage. I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. Who is the silly sausage? Is it Hulk Hogan or is it The Undertaker? You'll have to tune in to find out. We're going to start this one off by talking about a WWE tag team that has split up off air. Certainly an obtuse move by the powers that book. In this case, Paul Levesque, presumably.
Of the game Triple H.
That's him. Terrorizing of
the King of Things.
Yeah, the King of Things. That's Braun Strowman, brother. What are you on about? But yeah, A-Town Down Under split up off the air.
Yeah.
It was confirmed last night on the air by Grayson Waller. Mm-hmm. Right. He had a backstage segment with the new What am I trying to say? A backstage segment. I've been off 3 days. I've got nuts. He had a backstage segment with the New Day, as he usually does on Raw these days. Yeah. And he approached them and he was like, hello, I'm Grayson Waller. But the crux of his point was that Austin Theory is injured. Not sure if it's a real injury or if he's just, working. And the tag team is done. I'm finally free of all this stuff. And now I'll be your friend. Guys, let's be buddies. There was no sign of Theory during this segment. It was just Grayson Waller and the New Day. So he kind of hammered this home on socials afterwards. He uploaded the little clip where he mentioned all 5 of Austin Theory's fans. Which, I mean, it's always fun. It's literally always funny that when you say that about. So I'm not even joking. It's a good line. Yeah. And then he kind of took credit for saving Theory's career. Theory has been semi-active over the past couple of months on Main Event. You've probably seen the clips that sometimes do the rounds of listen to the crowd reaction. Yeah, it's like Karrion Kross style. Insert psyop theory here. But yeah, so A-Town Down Under, right? I guess the peak of their run was their run as SmackDown Tag Team Champions. 90 days they had those belts. And they were later rebranded the WWE Tag Team Championships. Of course, they won the belts at WrestleMania 40. So they got their WrestleMania capital M moment in that sense. But they've been teasing this breakup for ages, man. It feels like a year minimum, maybe over a year. They've always had little tiffs. They've always had little bits where one has been blaming the other, usually Waller blaming Theory, leading to some people speculating perhaps on Austin Theory turning face for a run. I'm going to get your thoughts in just a second, Michael Hanflett. But first of all, friends, if you haven't got NordVPN yet, what are you doing? Come on! We've got a tremendous deal going on at the moment. 76% off up to 4 months for free and up to an Amazon gift card of up to $50 when you sign up now. Protect yourself online. Stay away from the ghosts and the goblins that want to steal your data and all that stuff. Sign up right now. Michael Hanflett, you sign up by telling me your opinions on the split of A-Town Down Under.
It's weird. This is all really weird. Yeah, where to even start? Right, so let's go with the segment from last night's Raw. The New Day kind of acting like, what's going on here? Everything's gone crazy. The LWO have got a tag title shot. We can't get our belts back. We're not even going to appear on SummerSlam. And then Grayson Waller shows up. He's trying to rename himself Big G, obviously replacing Big E. He says he's going to get the car ready, that they should cheer up. The New Day, who previously have seemingly quite enjoyed hanging out with Grayson Waller, now look a little bit put off by him, maybe because he's like offering himself as the third member of the stable. So that feels like it's doomed in its own way. But yes, the confirmation of a split like this thing, like I think they first started teasing splitting up around like WrestleMania 2, and yet it's just continued since then. It's been this like long-standing 1,000-year delaying tactic between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, of which there was never any reaction either way, which is what I find so strange here. There was no great thirst for the split. Or at least there appeared no great thirst from the split. It wasn't like the reactions were huge backstage for the two of them bickering or arguing. Nor were the reactions that big when they were a successful team, let alone one that were on the outs, Austin Theory, like, you'd think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin rather than Austin Theory, the way that people talk about these pops that he's getting. They're just fine. They're just people, I think, are like maybe wanting to get behind a guy and do so in short bursts on the seashore over the weekend. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing for Austin Theory, but I wouldn't also suggest that right now the big babyface push. Babyface puss. I've come back to the World Wrestling Entertainment for some babyface push. is necessarily going to beckon now that the split has happened. Yeah. Like, they'll have a feud or whatever.
It's like Bad Puss.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. If The Miz is leaving, as was rumoured, you got two new ones, a heel one and a babyface one, and maybe they'll fight each other. The fact that it happened without Austin Theory being on screen and maybe having nothing to do with it is all the weirder. There wasn't even they've just been bickering. There was no physical attack or anything. The injury potentially being a work or shoot is something that I guess will come out in the days to come.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
a weird
odd.
one.
It's all very odd.
It's a weird one, this, because like if you have a storyline that you have planted seeds, it felt like we were always at the planting seed stage of this split, right? It was never like, it wasn't this grand sprawling narrative where there were big developments and they'll pull them back together and tear them apart again, as there often are in split dynamics. It just felt like it was a tease they did like once a month for about a year, and then the payoff happened off screen. It's quite strange given how like one of Paul Levesque's characteristics as a booker is that we have these long-term things that are plotted very clearly from A, B, C, D, E, or whatever, however far you get with them. And while they're not necessarily always the most unpredictable of angles or whatever, you can usually see where they're going, and they usually are paid off. So it's quite unusual for this to end this way. Never a huge fan of storylines being resolved off screen unless they're just a complete disaster, right? If it's a complete bomb, and sometimes you should just wipe it from history. But I thought that this was an opportunity to give them something new, right? I think that Grayson Waller's future is... Aussie Miz is like the perfect comparison. It's not an insult.
No.
He's going to have a job in WWE for about 30 years, right? Because he's got...
I like Miz. I say that as a bit of a Miz
He's
guy.
got that same kind of charisma, that kind of annoying jerk heel, smug man, and all that stuff. But Theory, I think, could desperately do with something new. I think his act is quite tired, and a face turn might be it. Who knows? I think with him, he really needs a hard reset for me. Theory. Look, the guy's only 27 years old, which is mad, because I've been watching him when he broke out in Evolve like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But he like character-wise, he's kind of been doing the same act for the majority of his WWE run. Certainly on the main roster. In NXT, when he was with The Way, he had a bit more room to be more expansive and sillier and stuff like that. But, I mean, you look at what he's got. He does about 10 or 15 really flashy moves that none of which look particularly impactful.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking guy. He's got a slappable face, and I mean that in a positive way, because that's his role. And he still has his youth and all of this stuff. Honestly, Austin Theory, I think, needs just a complete removal from his current situation and into something fresh. So maybe this will work out better for him.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need him to feud with Grayson Waller in the long term. But it is also weird storytelling from a booker who doesn't usually do things these ways.
Yeah, Theory, like I would say, if proof be need be, that fast tracking doesn't always work, because he's had about 3 fast tracks and none of them have led to success. This is a guy that beat John Cena at WrestleMania, a guy that had the Money in the Bank contract, a guy that had weeks and weeks and weeks of segments, dreadful ones at that, with the worst version of like the Vince McMahon character at the tail end of his time before he resigned in disgrace. Like, egg. Don't answer my question, doctor. Like, it was rubbish, absolute garbage. However, like, the profile that he had probably did him more damage than good in the long run in terms of actually buying into this character as somebody that can contribute, I guess. So maybe the change is as good as a rest here, and the absence, as we often say with a 52-week-a-year weekly episodic television, absences, whether they be due to injuries or storyline breaks or whatever, like, tend to benefit some of the talent long term. They come back, they get a bit of a revived interest from the audience. It's kind of an excuse just to rip the band-aid off and have a fresh start. So we'll see if that's what this is with Austin Theory and the end of A-Town Down Under.
And let us know in the comment section below, what would you like to see from these two going forward? Austin Theory singles push babyface, are you into that? Let us know.
What would you have liked to have seen from AJ Styles at TNA Slammiversary, based on the feedback to his appearance endorsing Leon Slater following his X Division title win over Moose? Things were good. Things were relatively positive, and it was certainly one for the TNA heads. The nostalgia hit quite hard when he came out to his old music. He had the hood on.
It's an all-timer.
Yeah, the presentation of it was great. Like, the fans were singing along, like, quite a loud voice, like full-throated TNA crowd. Got a little bit of something that they wanted. There was at least, at the bare minimum, a sense that maybe a match was coming down the line for AJ Styles. Bound for Glory is often TNA Hall of Fame season, so you wonder if that's what this has opened that door for. However, there was supposed to be something else before this was agreed upon. This is per John Alba from Sports Illustrated, who noted that AJ Styles was originally supposed to be in a segment with Frankie Kazarian. The two go way back, obviously, in TNA history as babyface allies, as heel opponents. They did all sorts of stuff together in TNA years. They were in the Fortune Immortal stable together, all sorts of stuff. Loads of lore with TNA. In the end, Kazarian factored into the main event, pulled the referee out when Joe Hendry had the TNA title won against Trick Williams as part of that ongoing beef. And yeah, AJ did stuff with Leon Slater. Plans changed, pal, apparently, per this report, due to WWE, who, again, according to Albert, influenced the change. I guess the idea that AJ and Kazarian, or for that matter, AJ and anybody with a TNA past would have been something TNA would have loved, as opposed to AJ Styles, the WWE megastar, at a boy-in, a hot young TNA prospect. You can kind of see why WWE favoured one thing
over the other.
Here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I would quite like to see AJ wrestle someone in TNA.
Me too.
I'm not sure if we're going down that direction. But when I think of people I'd like to see him wrestle, respectfully, Frankie Kazarian's very good, but that's probably not the match that I would go for. Yeah. Like, I would look at someone like Leon Slater and go, hey, that's brand new. And this is like the new rising up and coming guy. He's really great. Everyone who watches him understands why he's so special against the TNA guy, AJ Styles. I think that would be sensational if they could do that. Or like Mike Santana or someone like that. You know, fresh things. Things that aren't stuff that's been done before. Yeah, why not? Shout out to AJ Francis, by the way. Did you see his response to Fightful about the spot? Everyone's seen him landing on his willy on the ladder. He said, big willy equal cushion. So there you go. Pretty funny. Glad his...
Shout out to your flop, Top. Get on soon.
Yeah, glad his Todger... I haven't heard that in years, is doing okay.
His gentleman's agreement, split across those rungs.
There you go. But yeah, I would like to see AJ do a little more in TNA for sure. I think it's just such easy nostalgia fodder. A match would be sick. If we're not going down that route, obviously the Hall of Fame makes a lot of sense.
Indeed.
Shall we talk about Bryan Danielson?
Yes.
That psychopath.
Scamp.
He's been on it. And this is the most him thing I've ever heard. Well, in a while, at the very least. He has clarified that he is not back in AEW, despite returning at All in Texas. If you recall, he was involved in that main event between Jon Moxley and Hangman Page. He was one of the many interferences in that match where it was like layered Avengers-style WrestleMania 40 kind of business type thing. He's not back, though. Even though he had the Blue Panther mask and he was doing the yes chants and all that stuff, it seems like it was just a one-off, which makes a lot of sense because he's physically held together by spit and chewing gum these days, I think, the poor guy. But he was on the Nikki and Brie show, and he was talking about it with his wife, Brie Bella, of course. And he said, I'll just run through the conversation. I've got a transcript here. I'm not going to differentiate between their voices. I'm not going to do a Brie Bella impression. But Brie said, I need to know, were you supposed to do the moves you did? Because you did a bunch of stuff. Danielson replied, well, some of them I had cleared, some of them I did not. But I was feeling it, and he was laughing. Because he's a little rascal. He did a Busaiku knee kick, a dive, all kinds of stuff, brought to the back with the Death Riders. Brie said, I know Doc Samson was going to be so upset. Danielson, to be fair, he wasn't upset. Brie replied, he just thought you were an idiot. Danielson said, he did think I was an idiot. He mentioned the people who saw him on the show might have led to them believing he's returning. Brie actually mentioned, I got all these text messages. People are like, is Bryan back? And I'm like, well, to my knowledge, no. I love the idea that she could be in the dark on this. But we'll see when I talk to him tonight. Danielson said to that simply, no, I'm not back. So firmly believe this man will wrestle again because that's how it works. That's wrestling. But I'm not convinced we'll ever see him back in a full-time capacity. It does legitimately sound like his body is torn to pieces. And actually, I do think that reflected a little bit in his performances towards the end of his AEW run. While he was still great, he wasn't the greatest wrestler of all time,
No.
which is, kind of what he might be.
That's the bar he set for himself, isn't it, at various points? Yeah.
He's the boy. So I do think we'll see him wrestle again. Honest to goodness, I think we'll see several matches in AEW. I do think we'll see him have a WWE match again sometime. Because he's always been open to that.
Yeah.
I think we'll see him in Arena Mexico with Blue Panther, his best friend, again. The real greatest wrestler of all time, Blue Panther. I love Blue Panther. This 7-year-old man doing flip dives off this blooming thing. What do you call it? Where's the thing you have the wrestling matches in? The ring. That's right. Crazy. What do you think of Danielson not being back?
Well, I always think of that quote, "I love to lie, Cody Rhodes taught me how to lie." So with Danielson, and he's always got that glint in his eye. He's always there's a scamp-like quality even when he's talking about things like broken necks and severe head injuries. He kind of does it with a certain glint. But he's just different. He's just cut from a different cloth. There's so many of these wrestlers that we try and analyse the behaviour of. That it would be naive, I suppose, to just say this is it, as you pointed out, like at a bare minimum, returning in a sort of reduced capacity or in a special attraction role, maybe somebody that AEW can roll out for the big occasions. Let it not be forgotten as well that, and this wasn't just said during the heat of the CM Punk drama. Tony Khan named Bryan Danielson as somebody who would trust AEW with if something happened to him. So he must know that he's got any role he wants in that company for life, or as long as he wants it. He also left WWE on great terms and has only really spoke glowingly of that place. And Nikki Bella returning to WWE and the potential return of Brie kind of leaves that door swinging wildly as well. There are very few people that have navigated and negotiated quite the position in the wrestling landscape as a Bryan Danielson. So not only can he do what he wants, but just from prior experience, I sense he will do what he wants as well. Body allowing, but then even then, it's Bryan. He's a one-off, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one-on-one. He's a rascal. He might be an idiot.
He might be
Dr. Sampson's words. And his own words. But yeah, I love him. I love his presence in wrestling. And I love that he's still here being a little silly little guy on podcasts.
From a cheeky little bugger head to a cheeky big bugger red, The Undertaker has poked Hulk Hogan with a stick, and it's really funny. He was on his podcast, the dead man was talking about a business as he's wont to do, and he was being asked by his cohort on that podcast about his memories of what happened at the Netflix debut of Raw. Of course, The Undertaker was there to ride his bike around the ring. Hulk Hogan was out to flog his beer and wave a flag. Went better for the dead man than it did Hogan, to say the least. Hogan infamously got booed out the building in LA, wasn't it? And Undertaker said on this podcast he'd seen Hogan backstage. And I'm was he all right? How did he kind of take it? And he was like, he was no-selling it and pushing his beer. They were asked, did you feel bad for him? And he went, nope. I got feelings for people. I can feel, but sometimes in life things come back. Obviously, The Undertaker was referring to the racist remarks that Hulk Hogan made all those years ago, the kind of failed locker room apology that only alienated him further with the roster at the time. A very serious subject that the dead man is kind of making a bit of light of here to have a bit of fun at Hogan's expense, as a lot of people did, because it kind of felt like a bit of karmic retribution. And I just thought I would add to this a bit of flavour for those that may not know. There is a bit of really, really funny wrestling low-lying beef between The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan, beyond whatever they might disagree with or not like about one another here in 2025. You may recall, if you're of a certain vintage, the main event the two had, this is going back a long way, at Judgment Day 2002 when Hogan was on his nostalgia run and couldn't get his ass up for the dead man's choke slam. And it was, I would say, the second weakest title change in WWE history, because the first was at the Survivor Series 1991 when The Undertaker delivered the gentlest looking tombstone ever to defeat Hulk Hogan and win his first WWF title. And Hogan whispered to him, this was at the time, "Ow, you got me, brother." Watch the footage back. He didn't. And per the rumours at the time, and I think these might have been substantiated by various wrestlers that heard it, continuing to sell that Undertaker had got him with this devastating, beautifully cushioned tombstone. Hogan was apparently saying, "Call my wife and kids. Call my wife and the dead man got me." And Undertaker, bless him, a year into his Fed contract, given the biggest spot of his life, was panicking that this is his career over because he'd got Hogan with the tombstone. So there's always been a bit of needle between those two. And it's funny that it all, as Deadman himself says, comes back around. You gotta laugh.
He's pissing himself laughing the whole time we're talking about this as well. He just doesn't care. It's quite a refreshing clip because often the Undertaker is presented as this super serious, protect the business type.
Yeah.
So it's actually fun sitting here watching him just rip the piss out of this silly...
Out of El Tel.
This El Tel, yeah. Tel Bull. Terry Bolly. There's all kinds of names. Remember Basil Bolly? Great stuff.
Good.
It's really funny.
Spaghetti himself.
He's also dead right? Like, things just come back to you. I think that's the case with Hulk Hogan. I don't...
Had that one coming a bit, didn't he?
There was a lot of theorizing in the wake of that Netflix thing about maybe it was political, but the Undertaker's political affiliations are not exactly a secret, and he was cheered. I think it was a response to the word he used multiple times on that tape.
In the interest of balance, Hulk Hogan did say maybe people saw the black shirt and thought it was Hollywood Hogan from the NWO.
He said that several times.
He really believed that, didn't he?
Well, he said that at first, and then a couple of weeks later he said, I was working heel, brother. It was like, no you weren't. What are you on about? What are you on about, Chief?
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny clip. You should track it. It's on the website if you've not seen it. The dead man cutting loose, just kicking back and hanging with the boys.
He's on friggin' NXT tonight, man. He's going to give Trick Williams a piece of mind and kick a piece of his ass.
But then he's going to have a couple beers.
I'm desperate for Undertaker to go to TNA, me, man. I want to see. He just assumes it's still. Where's this ring now got 6 sides? I heard about these damn sixers. When you move it back to 4?
I want to feud with AJ Francis. I heard you were bumping on your dick.
Where the hell's Jeff Jarrett? I want to kick his ass.
Is Sting still here? We can finally have that match. Well, goddamn.
I mean, Mark's in the Impact Zone.
I love that. Do you feel sorry for him? Nope.
Nope. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You gotta like.
You gotta appreciate the dead man. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, check out the one that's on your screen right now. We got brutal. Speaking of the Undertaker, brutal wrestling ribs that happened on screen. Look at Mean Gene in this.
His ribs are so brutal, he's got BSK tattooed across him.
Absolutely. And going by this thumbnail, he has the opposite problem to AJ Francis. So, fair play. We'll see you later. Bye.